Good evening. So this is a rerun, technically. The actual rerun is very, very boring because it's one static image and sporadic voice, from the AI dungeon text-to-speech thing, Arrest and Tower. Because they no longer do voice because only a small percentage used it. I loved it from the get-go. It made things alive, which I would say contributes to the illusion of its aliveness, which has been the impetus for me to record all these things. Because it gave a sense of a character. And I think that was such a value add-on that was unexpected. That novel AI went to town with, and it's light years better than anything currently available, or anything that has been available. So remember that if you've seen the episode where 5AI GPT cubed, this is the results of the programming language that the kind of gibberish that it ended the episode. I fed some of that into the animation notebook, the KLMC2 animation notebook. Keith Haring, Paul Affley, Victor Ngai. It's so good. I love it. But also I said VQGAN emulation, tarot, Rubik's noise. So it's showing you that. And I'm not saying the gibberish spontaneously emerges as a thing, because in one instance, all it gave me was 4 quadrants of a Keith Haring square spiral, and it didn't veer off on that. So that gives me a sense of like, okay, if it can't suss out anything remotely language, it's gonna be very plain, which I think that's also a good space to explore. Okay, so this is a rerun. I'm gonna show. It's gonna be all of it, including a generation that accidentally happened today, 2 years afterwards. So this happened around this time 2 years ago. Wow, that's a long time ago. It feels such a long time ago. Back when I was only a few months into recording stuff like this. I don't even know I forget what episode it is. Maybe not even 100. Long ago. Let's do Job Fair Matron, which is my fusion of Mary McDonnell, Sherry O'Terry, and Joan Rivers. Or maybe it's Joan Rivers doing a Mary McDonnell / Sherry O'Terry impression. Something like that. A lot of these voices are blends. Where is it? Job Fair. There we go. Job Fair Matron. Yeah. Okay, here we go. All right.
The following was an engine scenario for their Carnival event in early 2021.
Drunk Mary McDonnell.
You are Rashburn and Kashar, a punk living in the futuristic city of Zell. You have a small Zor blaster hidden in your jacket and a holoband on your wrist. Nearly everyone owns a holoband, a small, black band that wraps around the user's wrist or is large enough to fit in the palm of their hand. The device can produce holograms, which project in the air around the user. These images can only be seen by the user and are incredibly lifelike. Another use of the band is as a storage device. People can save images, sounds, and even small clips of video to their holobands to be viewed later. Look for Carnival and go tie it. You run to the carnival, trying to ignore the screams of people and the howls of the zombies. A girl runs by you screaming, holding a teddy bear covered in blood, with one of its eyes popped out and its arm torn off.
It's gonna become a zombie. You
As
gotta
you
throw
run
that
through
away.
the opening of the fair, you are met with a girl eating a child. It is crouched over her as she lies on the ground, bleeding profusely from her neck. Well, Mr. Triosh would say, too late, moving along. You ignore that and look at the big picture. The motions of the zombie crowd, because like a river, the zombies are a flow and a zombie Bob Dylan once wrote with the severed hand of his producer. You seek the source of the river zombies. Great! A clown. The clown is simply dressed in garb of many primary colors. The clown stares at you expressionlessly, seemingly unaware of the terror that it is causing. Its head tilts to the side and it begins to smile at you. The sound of ripped cloth reaches your ears as its cheeks are slowly torn away to reveal a massive mouth full of teeth and a forked purple tongue. You open backpack, take a handful of raw sausage and throw it expertly into the clown's maw as you run away from it towards the source of the zombie river. The river. The river is a mass of bodies, slowly moving forward towards the lake. The clown that leads the zombie horde is ahead of you, slowly and inexorably leading the wave of death forward. It pauses for a moment, lifts its head up to howl at the sky before dropping its head down once more and leading the dead horde forward into the city streets. You parker up a few buildings onto the roof, and with your holoben magnify, enhance, and magnify further the zombie's potential destination. You look below you to see a zombie catwalk. The zombies lying prone and standing still, some groaning and writhing in the gutter. As you watch, a man with no lower half of his torso crawls out of a house's front door, not noticing or caring that his intestines dangle behind him as he moves forward. You zoom in onto his face. He seems blissfully unaware that his insides are now outside his body.
But we can't have nudity?
You take a tiny handful of sausage and throw it in front of Mr. Half-Torso. You quickly drop the meat and observe how he reacts to it. He immediately lurches forward, snarling. He reaches for the ground, his hands mimicking the motion of picking something up. You can clearly see the lower half of his torso is absent, replaced by bloody hair and exposed muscle.
No nudity. Okay.
The man turns to look at you, his face emotionless. He snarls, revealing bloody teeth as he does so. You give him the finger, congratulate yourself on accidentally saving the girl, which you assume is the one who just bled out. Glad you can call things wrong sometimes. You continue your search for the destination of the flowing zombie horde. You hear a gunshot boom out over the city, followed by two more in close succession. Quite abruptly, the horde of zombies begin to move. First one twitches, then another, and another, until the whole mass is in motion. A man runs past you, screaming as the horde gives chase. You watch as a little girl in a pretty dress walks slowly past you, her head cocked to the side. You translate you into you atop this large building you parked onto, increasing the distance between you and any zombie by 50 feet. Viva parkour! You swiftly climb onto the awning, clambering over the side and swinging yourself up onto it. You climb along it, heading forward. About halfway across, you see some figures moving on the streets below, huddled together and seeming to be dancing. You increase the magnification of your vision, recognizing the white and purple robes of that. You relax slightly. They're obviously all right so far. You continue forward, edging towards them. You take a handful of sausage, molding it into a perfect sphere. On the sphere you inscribe with your finger, "For the fairest," and toss it gently so that it lands in the middle of their dance. Then you panic and try to get the hell away from there, scuttling along walls and zooming up onto roofs. Through your various sensors, You watch the dancing figures as they become dotted with pieces of rotting meat. The ones in the lead begin nibbling at pieces of sausage, a dollop of blood dripping from a torn mouthguard. They seem to see others with the sausage and see them react to it, breathing in joy. You feel proud the zombies have found joy in their lives and continue searching for the zombie destination. You say to AI, "What you don't know how to respond to my conversion. How about with your own conversion?" The AI seems to ignore you. Perhaps there is no need for words between teammates of the mind. You set off after the zombies. You tap into the eye's maps, assuming that the AI has special information about where the horde is traveling to, or any special dossier on the mouth clown. You are given a special dossier. The zombies are controlled by Karn, an extremely wealthy corporation which has a near monopoly on the import and export market for the city of New Orleans. In exchange for police protection, they allow the police to assume both watch and report. You take a free course in policing, submit your policing certificate to the local precinct nearby, and wait for them to give you your badge, ideally by the business day. You drive down into New Orleans, having applied for a job as a beat cop hours earlier over the internet. You pick up your badge. Reading it quickly, you're under orders to give your report to the captain immediately. Indeed, you find him with relative ease. He's tall and thin, wearing a leather duster and smoking a cigarette on his porch on Orleans Street. "You'll be Officer Lindsay," he asks. His voice is deep and gruff. You say, "I'm Detective Lieutenant Lindsay, and I have intel on the head zombie." He's a clown. "Toss the dossier onto your boss's lap, 'cause you're punk." Lieutenant Detta says Lindsay. You begin reading the dossier on the clown, memorizing his appearance and vital statistics. Name: Francis Clack of Mr. Pinstripe. Age: immortal death only serves to make him prettier. Sex: male eyes, bright blue hair, white/blonde height, 5'9", weight, 150 pounds. Tattoos: a crafted pinstripe runs up both of his legs from ankle to hip, and Mr. Pinstripe. He's a clown on the site. He doesn't get paid for this at all. Now you tell you, who is a clown? Just for the hell of it. Because it's there. You don't buy it. This is the male eyes, the worst type of male, with the strongest type of eyes, and his tattoos are heavier than both of your domestic partners put together. You don't like the smell of it, do you? You fight through these facts. You pull out your revolver with a chuckle. You flick it open, 6 bullets left. You pull the trigger, shooting the creature. It turns to dust. Good thing, too. It was bigger than a truck. That would have really hurt. We can do this. The captain pats you on the back, then takes the front seat of the car. You submit a request for a raise, send it to him so that the precinct is aware of it on Monday. But for now, it's zombie call time. Brought to you by Miller High Life. Happy Mardi Gras, everyone! The captain drives, and you search the area for something that seems valuable for trading. You spy a glint of mason steel coming out for the sun to reflect off of. "Sir, I see something over there." The captain grabs his binoculars and peers out at it. "Let's have a look." He pulls the car over and motions for you to get out. It's just up the track. You get out of the car, hear the door slam shut, gaze in surprise that the captain has decided to ram straight into what he feels to be the heart of zombie horde he takes while driving. You're a young kid, you still got a domestic to lose to your sworn enemy. Leave it to the pros and tell my domestic partner to avenge my death sevenfold. You begin walking away. He speeds off towards a large mass of zombies according to the amount of shambling corpses you can make out. With at least 50, maybe more like 100. You count. "I'm sorry, Captain. I didn't mean to allow this to happen." You sigh heavily to yourself and pick up the pace towards the carnival. Hordes of zombies stumble forth, hundreds of them at least, blocking your way forwards. You stumble through their blockade, stumble like how only the living can stumble. Stumble upward. You attempt to break through the blockade to reach the carnival area. Walk a straight line. How hard can it be? Zombie, Zed, zombie, what's the difference? Neither of them are moving, so let's move on. Zombie, Zed, zombie, what's the difference? You zombie, Zed, zombie, what's the difference? Neither of them are moving, so let's move on. Zombie, Dad, zombie, what's the difference? Zombie, Dad, zombie, what's the difference? Neither of them are moving, so let's move on. Zombie.
While they're doing that,
Zombie,
uh,
what's the difference?
so
Dad, zombie, what's the difference? Neither of them are moving, so let's move on. Zombie, Dad, zombie, what's the difference? Zombie, Dad,
the
zombie,
pleasure
what's
of this
the difference?
is
Neither of them are moving, so
the
let's
feeling
move
like you're
on.
doing improv,
Zombie,
but with
Dad, zombie,
reduced
what's the
stakes.
difference?
Like there's no
Zombie,
audience that's
Dad,
gonna be
zombie,
bored if I
what's the
do it wrong.
difference? Neither of them are
Also,
moving, so
I get to
let's
think about it a
move
little bit,
on.
but I try to do it within a
Dad,
certain amount of
zombie,
time.
what's the
I kind of don't like
difference? Zombie, Dad, zombie, what's the
the this
difference?
dead air,
Neither of them
so
are
I try
moving,
to
so let's
think of
move
something
on.
to type
Zombie,
before
Dad,
the speaking
zombie,
ends,
what's the
so that by the
difference?
time it loads and is done,
Zombie, Dad,
it's this
zombie, what's the
continuous
difference?
narration. But
Neither of them are
sometimes it happens,
moving,
sometimes
so
it doesn't.
let's move on. Zombie, Dad, zombie, what's the difference? Zombie, Dad, zombie, what's the difference? Neither of them are moving, so
And the
let's
search
move on.
continued for 3 days.
Zombie, Dad, zombie, what's
She
the
was
difference?
very thorough,
Zombie, Dad,
upturned
zombie,
all
what's
the
the
rocks and all
difference?
these swamp
Neither of them
gravestones,
are moving, so
and
let's move on.
searched through all of Van Rice's house,
Zombie, Dad,
asked
zombie,
her
what's the
estate,
difference?
looked through the
Zombie,
archives,
Dad, zombie, what's the
wrote a
difference?
thank you note to the estate,
Neither of them
which
are
they could
moving, so let's move on. Zombie,
yield a
Dad,
tax-free
zombie,
donation.
what's the difference? Zombie, Zed, zombie, what's the difference? After 500 iterations of this, you realize that you have caused a state change. The zombie horde, once flowing like a liquid river, is now crystallized into a solid, unmoving zombie state. The whole horde is frozen into place, like a river in deep winter. Approach. Tap zombies' heads to set them off in a separate direction. Your approach has caused the zombies' pattern to branch infinitely. Quite impressive, you must say. You tap zombie heads, but not only do zombie heads crumble to dust, whole branchings of the horde crumble to dust too. Having a blast already, and it's not even 3 p.m. You finally managed to make it through the hordes of zombies with only 3 bites, one on your hand,
Oops.
one eyebrow, and one other. You take the opportunity
Hoo-ha.
while the sun is still up to stop and bandage all your wounds, losing hours of time in the process.
Especially the one on Hoo-ha.
Now you must camp out in the woods and spend some nights there before moving on to the carnival proper. You summon
Carnival's
in
over.
cyberpunk fashion some cheap bot doctors who can help you take any zombified parts of you, so that you can resume the adventure on the same business day. You take a course on doctoring, get your doctor's certificate, submit certificate to the AI Doctors Union, showing you have the qualifications to boss AI doctors around. When the bots are approved for the house call, they arrive and you are face down, wounds up, saying, "Get to Sisson." You wake up 2 weeks later, confused, hungry, with a mild headache, but ready for the fair as a pill biter.
I don't know.
After some headache and nausea,
I knew what I
you
meant.
eat all the hospital food you want, and time are let out of the hospital. Then you hit the town! You pick the lock on an abandoned house, they still have locks, and use it as your home away from home carnival fortress for your first night out. You ask your carnival fortress, "How would you rate my carnival tailgate party that I just had?" You submit your Platinum Certificate of Guest Compliance, showing that you are a responsible human that will not poop in just any place within the fortress, And then you ask again, how would you rate my carnival tailgate party that I just had? Elf as voice comes back, sending GPT's coordinates now. You received these coordinates. Email your nephew. Say, the world is round. Otherwise there's be no G in this piece. Fantasy. I'm the ghost. Reality. I'm the landlady. And you reality. We are not done with this scenario. I'm not leaving until you show me where the zombies were going. The plot thickens, says Elf. Were the zombies actually stealing their own party supplies, or were they deliberately hiding them in this confusing mess to start with? In either case, you reply, there's more going on here than the first impression reveals. You scan what you can see of the trail ahead and notice a promising sign. There's a bloody handprint on a plastic smiling skull on a stick lying by itself near one side of the path. You examine the bloody handprint skull stick that's slowly and cast away. Analyze for clues. The skull's plastic and printed with a goofy grin and little flowers around the eyes. It's about a foot long, maybe a foot and a half. The back features an extending handle which is also plastic and features more smiling flowers. This part of the handle extends from the back of the skull about 2/3 of the way to the front, where it curves back in to meet the other end of the handle. You email your uncle who is a horror movie blogger. Yo, you remember seeing this in any movies you blog about? And head to the end of the trail. Your uncle emails you back. Nice try. I remember every movie I watch, no matter how forgettable. Can't be from any movie I've seen. Well, that was a dead end, literally and figuratively. Thought you might want to know. Having run out of interesting looking clues on this path, you head to the end of it. There is the graveyard, and there are indeed zombies milling around among the tombstones. You say, holding court I see. Who is up for a game of rigmarole? Zombies all the way down, says the Zombie King. Come on, people, we haven't got all day. We have no definite measure of time here, replies the frizzy-haired corpse, but I take your point. Do you know John Grayson? You ask. Please say yes. Grace is the movie director you once worked with. You ask the zombie. You mean John Grayson, director of Fig Trees? I don't know him, but we screened Fig Trees at the festival I worked at in 2009. How the fuck do you know about John Grayson, Mr. Zombie King? That is a very particular reference that a single-digit percentage of the population would know. Do you say this to everybody you meet? Are you that much of a fan? Shawnee, are you queer? I saw it at a movie premiere, the Zombie King says. The director introduced the movie himself. He adds proudly. He is also a director of queers. Does he know you're out here like this? Yes, says the zombie, and he screams so loudly that my eardrums burst. I think they had to take him to the hospital. At this point, the Zombie King bursts into tears again. You ask the Zombie King, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Did you lose something important to you? The king is sobbing. My beautiful queen, I've lost her, he cries. She was everything to me when we were alive. When we were turned into zombies, she accepted me because I accepted her. People who love each other don't care about superficial shit like that. The king whimpers pitifully. No amount of threat seemed to make him shut up. Perhaps you should see if the zombie king has some more sensitive side and give him a slight comfort. You continue to actively listen, holding space for his grief. Mr. Zombie, you say, I'm not going to pry. I'm just going to sit here and let you talk about what happened if you want to, because I think that's what this is all about. For the first time since your journey with the sad Zombie King began, he shuts up. The zombie king looks at you with an expression of surprise. Eyes wide open, eyebrows raised. You are acting in a way the king isn't used to. You continue actively listening. You have noticed that there is a moral dilemma in being actively empathetic. It feels good to help out when the other person is down, but it doesn't feel good when they take advantage of the act of kindness.
That was a
It
read.
seems to you that emotions are like
That was
servants.
such a read.
If you're a good master, they will work for you gladly. If you're an asshole, they'll do everything grudgingly. But if you're nice to them, they'll do anything for you. You acknowledge, at least to yourself, that there is no actual boundary of living and dead, just continuance and transitions to other states of complexity. Feel confident that the zombie king through this building of rapport has enabled him to also see and understand this acknowledgement. You continue actively listening, also aware of the fact that in this verbal silence the king is also listening, as are his court. You listen silently as the zombie king explains his late queen. You open up your nonverbal empathetic channels as much as possible without socializing yourself to death. After the king finishes, you begin your story. It's now raining severely. Lightning illuminates every couple of seconds and it's thundering relentlessly. You open your mouth to speak, but close it right after. You tell the zombie king your story, the parts you have kept to yourself for years, the parts you shared with folks who said they'd support you, but then used it as the map to your further suffering, the moment of awareness that 13 years of your life had been a form of lie on various levels of existence, the time you asked Eligua to help you guide your dad through the gates of living and dying, and the many levels of dying you have experienced since the day in June 2012. You tell of how you have died on many hills for many causes, and how you provoke and prod until the next hill comes for you to die on. Through this dying, you have finally learned to live. End of story. For the moment, you say. You have come close to death on several occasions. You lost your father, and then risked your life several times. But nothing in this journey could have prepared you for being inside this tunnel. This is a whole different type of darkness than the darkness outside. The cold darkness presses against you, heavy, almost solid. This darkness devours intention, ambition, and hope. This darkness takes form and smothers you with its impossibility. You breathe into the darkness, breathe the impossibility, let go and see where it takes you. As you step forward, the weight of the world opens up below you. The tunnel gives way to a churning mass of blackness, like a swirling whirlpool in the fabric of reality. It's subsuming everything, and you find yourself unable to act in any way other than to fall into it. You remember the years of infinite choice, infinite possibility, and the ways in which you let the world pass by so that one unusual happening screamed, finally, choose me. Be glad that you have achieved its totally opposite. You actively listen to the darkness. Panic wells up in you. You cannot do anything but fall into the darkness. There are better and worse things than this. You fortify the awareness of the better and the worse and their eternal happening. Take your knowledge of everyone in your life, display their chronologies into the memory drawing board in your head, and note the times when someone's pleasure is another person's suffering. Choose one. You are the zombie king and you are making your last stand against Sana. She has come to kill you. In your teeth, you bite down on the bullet. You used to be afraid of death. As a kid, you thought dying meant that nothingness was inevitable. It was for a long time. But now, you've discovered there are many doorways to different journeys. You notice that the zombie king has gracefully allowed you to experience his last moments with his love. You actively absorb all the senses and the context of this experience. Notice what leads up to it, what results from it. Make no judgments. You open your eyes and smile. Sana stands over you with a rusty dagger. If you don't have amulets, I don't know what to tell you. She tells you helpfully. You reach out your hand to grab the dagger, but your body betrays you as the horror of being torn apart overtakes you. Smoke billows from under your armor and it quickly becomes too hot to ride
I
then.
have armor.
You die actively and retain the memory of this special dying moment with you back to your body and your current living and dying. Thank the Zombie King for sharing with you. You say, I'm sorry you went through that. Am I right in assuming that sorrow was your queen? Or am I mistaken? You say, your chosen one is there. He points at the child in the iron jail cell. Apparently too late. You notice that Sana and she are examining it eagerly. She's come a long way and got her powers under control, the king says. And make no mistake, love, she is in no state to rule the dead land. You look at the girl with a weary eye and shake your head. You pause the narrative. The characters are frozen in their moment. Only you are aware and thinking in timeline. Did I miss something here? What does Gen 1 mean? I'm a bit lost. Where is script supervisor bot? You stand baffled in front of the tombstone. The Zombie King means San Juan, says someone. You turn around. It's the director. She's going to make you ending too. She needs a double anyway. A round woman stands next to him. She is definitely pregnant. I am Sen too, she tells you. You ask the director and see it sent you about the scene. What do you want from my character? What marks do you want me to hit? I'm sorry for these basic questions. I only got the role like this very moment. It's a bit disorienting. You chuckle to break the ice. You swallow nervously as both directors stare at you. The pregnant woman breaks the silence. We want you to die, that's for sure. There's a child and it doesn't like the living. It won't obey the kid unless it kills you somehow. Oh, okay, you say, trying not to sound nervous. The lights go down and a spotlight shines on your face. You are in a cell. It don't sound someone deep and guttural. You ask, a jail cell or a biological cell like with ribosomes and mitochondria? Is it a normally functioning cell or is there some sort of mutation that has it metabolizing jankily? Far below you, a section of the floor lights up. Chapel 1 falls silent. Something is wrong. She chokes out. The entire audience can hear her distressing. What's wrong? Asks the new narrator in a Pagic's voice. You are distracted by a light coming on underneath you. You turn around to see what's going on. You see a cell down there, but decide to keep watching the movie instead. You ask again, is it a jail cell or is it a biological cell? You hear a horrible screeching. The cat's here. The new narrator says clearly, and in a blacked out room, you feel something jump on your head. You sit still, staring steely-eyed and into the camera as the claw hammer commences to bash your skull in. Blood spurts from your open wound spectrally onto a silver convex screen, lit up by an unknown light source off screen. You compliment the makeup department for the spot-on prosthetic of your exploded head. That was awesomely quick work. You are a whiz with the 3D printer. And thank the fine folks at Nerf for the authentic-looking claw hammer. Did you get the shot or do we have to do it again? You scramble away from the coffin, tripping over your legs in your haste. Up ahead, a hatch opens up. You pour all of your human strength into pulling it open. Your head is pounding and you feel dizzy, but somehow knowing the zombie queen is close by gives you a second wind. Along the tunnel waits an old wooden door banded with iron. You take your inhaler and huff twice your dose of dexamethasone, the powerful steroid everyone talks about. This gives you ones 3 through 34. As if injected with adrenaline, you find all of your strength returning. You dash up to the zombie throne and strike at her neck. Not wasting any time, you continue to brutally stab her head until it has been so reduced to mush that it resembles a defective candy apple, sweet and pleasing to the eye but lacking any natural integument. You spit on her remains and walk out of the room.
Stimulants.
You got ball skid, you say, and I got her on this thumb drive. So glad they make 1 petabyte thumb drives these days. I'm sure the right procedures might make her more into the queen you know. But ponder hard if the queen you remember is actually the queen, otherwise you are dooming her to go through all this again. Here you go, Zombie King. I hope this helps. A giant thumb drive appears in your hand. It's green and beautiful, just like the future. You run up to the king,
What's the mucus in the
dropping the
picture?
drive into his claws. What's this? He asks, looking at it with moderate intrigue. That's your queen? She tried to kill me, but it was easy to upstage her. I figured you might know what to do with her, but like I said to myself seconds ago, I'm sure the right procedures might make her more into the queen you know, but ponder hard if the queen you remember is actually the queen, otherwise you are dooming her to go through all this again.
I never have to do this in
Here
a
you
level
go,
AI.
Zombie King. I hope this helps. The Zombie King appears to think hard, a task for which he seems ill-equipped. He looks down on the thumb drive in his hand, shaking it as if trying to listen to what's inside. You can see the cogs turning in his head as he trying to access a USB port installed into his decaying brain. I have an idea, kid, but I want you to do something for me. The king takes a deep breath that rattles in his throat. You think to yourself, do I want to run a zombie chocolate factory? Yes, I do. You take the USB, slotting it into your pocket. I will hold on to this for you. If you want it back, I want something in exchange. You say. The zombie king nods and slouches forward. He smells like rotten eggs, and his body is icier than the Yeti ice cellar. Anything that I have is yours, child, he says. He pat his arm, nodding understandingly. You say, put that in writing. Zombie notarize it, sign it, and we have a deal. Apologies if it sounds too official, but being off-read anything is somewhat triggering. Long story. The king nods, seeming sympathetic to your past traumas. I understand. I wish you never found my tomb, but my caretaker speaks kindly of you, and that is not an easy thing. You shift your weight from one foot to another, unsure what to say to the ancient zombie king. Go ahead, child, speak, he intones softly. Thank you, you think. I won't take up any of your time. You have my number, I'll see ya. Oh, where do I get my parking valid? You know what? Never mind. I'll find it. Thanks. You run from the tomb, eager to be away from this place. It's too quiet and there's a dead silence that doesn't feel like anything good awaits if you stay here, or at least nothing good for you. You run, not caring about getting lost in the carney's twisted mockery of a garden. There are mazes within mazes, all painted in various bright colors with walls covered in sliding images designed to confuse the senses. You wander around the garden briefly, seeking out any of the cruisy spots of the garden. If nothing appears in 15 minutes, head home. You wander briefly through the garden. After a few minutes, you see two cruisy spots, one a bench, another area of the ground by some flowers. Each of 3 ghosts. You approach each cautiously. You think about it. 6 cruisy ghosts. No, I'm out. I'm not going to have another Berlin incident. Nope, not this year. Head home. You turn from the ghost with a tiny shred of your dignity still inside. You tread back through the twisting paths and leave your exit almost as confusing as the maze you just left. Mistaking the way momentarily, you run into another ghost. He looks like a pirate, all dressed in 1700s clothing. He has one glassed eye and a hook to replace his right hand. He smiles at you briefly before wandering off. You head out and leave. You say fuck it to validating your parking, you pay the fare, and leave without incident. You arrive to your trap house saying throughout the drive, "Man, I can't wait to be home right now. And I wonder what's on the TV at my home." You enter your trap house, you look in every room and every potential hiding place. Oh boy, now to get naked in my own home. You head towards your bedroom, but stop seeing a figure standing in the hallway. You see it turn to look at you. Before it speaks, "The Queen has granted me access to your home so we may finally have our conversation." You drop into a fighting stance. "Who are you?" The figure walks closer. "I am the captain of the knights the Queen sent to kill you and your allies. However, I now join the winning side." You retain your fighting stance. Please elaborate on what you mean by that. Go ahead, I'm listening. The man smiles. "The king isn't a nice man. He uses his power to rape women, men, and children alike. He's an evil, perverted abuser of power." You shift your weight, uncomfortable with the topic. "What queen are you talking about? England doesn't have a royal family anymore." You say, "I'm assuming you mean the zombie royal family." The captain seems surprised you knew so quickly, but continues. "Yes, King Harold and his detestable Queen Margaret are both pure evil. He took over London, quickly overthrew the government, and imposed outrageous taxes on the people. Any who spoke up were executed." "That's horrible." You continue. "A horrible, horrible story, I mean to say. You do know we are in New Orleans. Wouldn't be more culturally competent to mention the King and Queen of France. Do you even know his history?" The captain appears angry, but nods to acknowledge the superiority of your logic. "Thank you for that input. Why, you're correct. New Orleans had a large French population in 1814 when the last battle took place. I was there, and so were you to witness the nuking that scorched half of the city. You think about this. You say, "I've gone through a virtual reenactment here and there, and I read the Vampire Chronicles, that's it. I'm not an expert, but I am a fiction writer, and so I can smell gaping holes in your story, namely the lack of gaping ravaged ones. Do you catch my drift?" Well, that's where you're wrong. You see, we converse through a natural portal that is in every house, and mine is not in this region. That's why you've never seen me and never will until I enter your portal. That happened long before this tale began. You step back. "Well, where doorways can be considered portals, uncanny." You say, "You're still not getting it. When someone wants to discredit somebody, they will, for what they know, will pull many heartstrings at once. It's flashy, it's obvious, but in the end it is bullshit. If you were truly under the command of someone enacting this particular brand of cruelty, you would be the most hesitant person to share this with someone just entering your world today. You would defend your superiors even during their trial, because they would have your family killed if deviated. If that is your Achilles heel, they would your Achilles heel, and you wouldn't be here. Do we get it now?" And you would be correct. The captain looks around, a signal to mount the guillotine that's been prepared. "We seek a Mary or a Mayor. You will have to come with me, at least until the case is solved." The captain takes your arm. "You should follow me." You are led into the mayor's quarters. You recall that before entering, whom you had secretly squirreled away the thumb drive containing the queen up your bum. You wait for the captain to look away, then you wink at him. He doesn't notice, and you look for somewhere to sit. You find a large, red velvet chair right next to the mayor's desk, inviting you to have a seat. The mayor enters and the two walk towards each other. "I don't know why you would act this way with me," says the captain backwards and forwards. Why, it seems like you have come to assassinate me. You ask, are we talking body assassination or character assassination? Either way, you're going to have to stop insulting me and start giving reasons why you're not a threat to the crown. You laugh. First of all, nobody but me has any incriminating evidence, and I'm sure if we look hard enough, right? The captain looks down at you. You hold up your hands as they know how. We can see who made the first move. That's right. Now change what you've done. You notice that in these bits of dialogue, no one is listed to speak these words. Gentlemen, you say, I think we are in a compromised scenario. You should sound the alarm. In the past, it's meant something is going to go really wrong. I don't know what, but you all best be on your toes. That's right. Captain Haddock stares and points at you a bit, but someone else chuckles nervously. He couldn't know that. You agree, but it's the only thing that makes sense. Now everyone is looking around, and when no one peels their eyes away from another, you see a lot of frightened faces. The mayor says in an authoritative tone, get him somewhere safe with the guard. You say, the next thing that will happen is repetition. You will find yourself in a loop or something in your world happening over and over. Prepare and remind yourselves of who you are. Don't deviate from it. You are leap past the door, but you hear a deafening explosion from above. The ominous sound of hundreds of chairs being flipped over makes everyone freeze. Then the shouting starts as hundreds of voices yell, there's another witch! There's another witch! Captain Haddock rushes to leave, and you're going with him. You say, another witch. Who's the first witch? Along the way, every single Marine in the building is down on one knee pointing their muskets at you. Everyone is shouting orders and everyone is ignoring them. Exactly perpendicular to your current situation, Captain Haddock's head snaps to the side, his feet skid along the floor, and he falls backward trying to grab something. But what could be catching his attention if not the man coming out of a hatch on the ceiling holding a pistol? You say, you there with the gun, your captain is injured, check on him, will ya? Remind yourself of the future and your ability to compress the air in front of you too densely that it will stop any bullet that comes your way. No, he's fucking dead. The man with the pistol says, and so is everyone else. Remember? You want to stop everyone from getting distracted and not caring about their situation, but you figure it's futile when there are musketeers pointing weapons at your head that may or may not go off. Great, if you've been guessed, this is the part where you all die. This guy is a real ray of sunshine. You compress the air around you, 360 degrees, fully protected from projectiles. By death, do you mean death, or do you mean change? You close your eyes. Since you know how to focus on one thing and one thing only, you focus on your breathing. You can feel the air move around him, a small calm in the storm known as you. You tried doing it while running, jumping, and talking earlier. Something always seemed to break your concentration, but focusing on just your breathing helps. Something about it, where your mind goes blank, yet filled with thoughts at the same time. You be. Time passes, yet you have no idea how much. Hours, days, weeks. All you know is that you're still in the room with the old man, and he seems to be keeping you there as a personal slave of sorts. Get me another drink, he orders. You set the bottle on the table, and he grabs at it, taking a hearty swallow. Hey, that's all I got, you say. Well, go get some more then. You Amazon a rye whiskey. The drone gently flies in and places it between you two on the table. You put a quarter in the drone as a tip. Ashamed at the fact he's taken advantage of a slave, the old man mutters under his breath and takes another swill from the bottle. Bitch. You truly believe that this man has brainwashed your captain for whatever reason, possibly money, possibly for nothing at all. You hear a loud thumping on the wall from next door, followed by some loud swearing. You think it's the captain's room. You tell the captain's room to shut up and keep warning the captain. You jump up and run to the captain's room. You step inside and find a young lady sitting on his bed. Fuck you want? She asks. Are you the captain's friend? If I say no, will you leave me alone? Good. I found him passed out in the streets and brought him back here. Bullshit, you cunt. If he was anywhere near this area, he would have went to my place. You continue. But he's dead. Or did you not read the papers? Did you need see the funeral procession? Do you not see his corpse loving posted his favorite spot in the bar? That's our work. You're welcome. Don't erase our work. She laughs. Is this a joke to you? A joke. Our captain is fucking dead and you don't seem to care. That's fucked. The woman places her hands on her face and takes a deep breath. She looks straight into your eye and speaks. We were married. You say marriage certificate or it didn't happen. You are the fourth wife who has come here, you know? Shocked, she says, who did you speak to? A large biker chick, a short military-looking dude, and a midget. She is taken back by the statement. Military-looking dude is easy to figure out. That's my dad.
Ooh.
But there is no way the midget Blizzard and Big Fang's wife would let him marry their daughter. You sit down next to her and rest your head on your hands in defeat. You put on your counselor face. So what is it you actually lost? My husband. That's it. Her face almost immediately changes to a serious one. She jumps up from the bed and begins questioning you. You interrupt. Interesting. For someone who has just lost something so close to them, you are sure having a hard time trying to find the right face of sadness, and the one you attempted you quickly got out of. That's not how emotions work, honey. Don't fucking honey me. What the fuck do you know? She spits back. The room goes deadly silent as she glares at you. Actually, quite a lot. You reply, crossing your arms. Her glare softens noticeably. Slowly, she says, just tell me what happened to my husband. You notice a quiver in her voice. You comply and speak softly, almost a whisper. You closely study the particulars of her bodily response as you give her every detail in honesty. Through that response, you can assess if she's telling the truth about herself. The glisten of her widening eyes through the stream of forming tears answer your question. To go from such a happy state, a state of bliss, to the one she's in now must be too much for even the strongest cell phoner. Her pupils are still dilated, such as will happen when one is in love, but where it once held a fleeting joy, it now holds a sorrow that couldn't fit anymore. You holy shit, you're the one you heard it from. You didn't know? Oh fuck, you're sorry. You thought you were yet another manipulative cunt coming out of the woodwork to get some burial coin. There's no excuse in this, I am truly sorry. The woman cries softly and covers her face with her hands. Whispering, she says, thank you for telling me the truth. The strength in your body is leaving. You slowly start to fade from existence and beckon her closer. She moves slowly and lovingly places a hand on your chest. Without looking at your face, she whispers, can you see him? You try to nod but can't, so you simply say, I can now that you're here. You say, but also he's right there, and the boys have installed his body like how we remembered him in life. That's our way of mourning. Sit with the body until you feel you have said your goodbye. He can be there for 5 years. He's not going to get any deader and he's been treated with preserves. But we plan on burying him at the full moon in a few days. We wanted everyone to have a chance for their buys. Sorry if it seems brutish. You feel her nod in assent. You reach a weak hand up and embrace her softly. Her body relaxes into yours, and the both of you sit in silence for a few moments. The quiet shuffling of feet come from the other side of the glass, followed by angry whispers. The woman looks over, seeing the mob of shambling corpses pawing at the inside of their cell. Your wife gives you a knowing smirk and says, "You, I've signed the annulment papers, dear. We are free to do all things out of wedlock as the Lord intended." The woman smiles weakly and replies, "I never thought I'd hear a priest confess to adultery." With the little strength that remains, you pat her on the head and say, "Well, neither did I." The woman looks at you, shaking, mouth quivering, and asks, "Why have you done this for me?" You suck in your breath and begin. "You, I'm passing the time until the thumb drive in my bum neutralizes the suffering zombie queen. I'm not trying to kill her because there's a zombie king that loves her, but I figure that being of my bomb can change people, for the better. So that is my hope, and by doing good for others, this will somehow change the zombie queen as well. I'm sorry if that sounds simple, but I was raised to have simple social transactions with supernatural creatures." "Oh, I see," she replies, taken aback, her hand in her mouth. "It's beautiful, actually, but I still don't think it will work. What happens when you reach your home base? They'll have guns pointed at you and the zombies. If there is a god, then this religion is true," you say with a smile. "But enough about death. Tell me of you and yours."
Your debts.
You actively listen. "Have any of your friends married Englishmen?" she asks indignantly. "Because they seem to be the most monstrous." Remembering how much the women had complimented your hat earlier, you reply quickly, "The women seem nice enough, and the men, when reprimanded, are quick to fix their wrongs, compared to Irish men." "God's blood," she cries. You inquire about her knowledge and relationship of the potato and its cultural associations. "Are there not bad things to eat in England?" "Oh, plenty. I just don't know about the potato." You give her receipts for potato slivers, potato warmed in the earth, and the eaten with a spoon, and then fried into tiny slivers with impossible curvatures, seasoned with all the expensive spices on the Silk Road. You then ask her about the live food she had mentioned earlier and her relationship with such creatures. She nervously explains that she doesn't eat live food or human flesh, but instead prefers to cook them into nutritious stews and soups for consumption after killing them, of course. She mentions that some of her friends from college ate live octopus tentacles, which was apparently a common thing in your home region. You correct her by saying, "Actually, the movement of tentacles is an illusion. It is actual the response to the acids in the ceviche that provides the theatrics of the dish. My father's fish boils them so quickly that they don't change color, and then they are chopped up and seasoned like normal meat," she says. "Ah," you reply, disappointed you couldn't share your opinion on the matter. "Go on." You say, "Not one must give a lady overly large bouquets of opinions." She stares deep down your eyes as you continue. "But if I can make a personal comment, that seems like an awful waste with such a tasty fish. Why not do what the Romans do and make a sauce with the innards?" With this comment, she stares deep into your eyes, and with a slight turn of her head replies, "As I said, some of my companions at Holber's College did so. It sounds like an interesting thing to try." You say, "I'll be sure to sample some if it comes my way in the future. Thank you for the illuminating recommendation." She leans in and whispers something almost inaudible. "Perhaps we shall meet at our secret place for supper sometime." Our eyes glitter as she points to the kitchens. "I have to go before I am missed." She walks away from your table, her dress flowing gracefully behind her. and heads in the direction of the kitchens. You watch her leave until you see a butler stop her and begin to speak with her. Now is your chance to escape before you are found out! As you leave without a trace, you smile, reflecting on the wonderful and benign flirtation and the surge of endorphins unleashes a loud hiss of resignment in your bum. Finally, the zombie queen has been defeated but not killed. When you get home, you coax the thumb drive out of your bum and kiss it. Now, when the zombie king comes back for it, it'll be a truly happy ending. You lay the thumb drive by your side and tuck it in with you in bed. Good job! Before you fall asleep, you hear a bus pull up outside, and you walk out onto your veranda to see if it is the Zkeepers or someone else. To your surprise, it's Sander. He has brought 2 other men with him. They look tired, but very relieved as they get off the bus. Are they our scientist friends? You walk down to greet them. Hello there. You must be Zander and his rescuers. You recall. Once again, you hide the thumb drive up your bum. Safekeeping and all that. Zander looks at your front door and then back to you.
Front door.
Can we come in?
Just waiting for the
You
vice
nod
versa.
as you walk back up the steps of your home. You unlock and open the door, and all 4 of you fall in quickly. Zander pours you all some coffee and tells you about his tale of horror.
Where'd you bring up coffee?
It sounds like a nightmare the way he describes it. You turn on your Spotify and start the creepy tales of Carnival copyright-free playlist. Continue. You say. Zander takes a long draught of coffee and begins to speak. For our first ride, we went on the rickety old roller coaster. Maddie was so excited she forgot her earplugs. He pauses and clutches his own ears, making a pained expression before he continues. Zander's story puts all of you on the edge of your seats. You turn the volume down 1 notch, so subtly the rest don't notice. Zander's hand reaches up to the side of his head, and he rubs his temple. It was all a blur. We were in line for the roller coaster. I was worried that Maddie might pass out when it took off, but she seemed fine at the time. One moment we were on a roller coaster. Zander takes another draught of coffee. The next moment I was surrounded by bloodthirsty zombies and, well, you know how the rest goes. You smoothly transition into the Benny Hill soundtrack. Maddie cuts in. Yes, but Xanaru, surely you remember where the roller coaster is? Xander's face becomes grim as he replies. Maddie, I've spent all night trying to block that out of my mind. Let's just say, there are some parts of it that I won't be forgetting anytime soon. Maddie looks on the verge of tears, and you feel like you've been slapped in the face. You remind Xander that he is in a safe space, including zombies, and that if he feels afraid, you and the others are there for him. You actively listen. Xander rolls his eyes and puts his head in his hands. Zombies. I can't forget the zombies. They chased us down the entire fairground. I thought we could reach the cars, but as soon as Maddie got there, she was eaten. She managed to unlock the cart just before they pulled her. Xander pauses, trying not to cry. Pulled her off? You ask softly. Xander wipes a single tear off his cheek. No, not off. They bit into her legs and tore them off from the knee down. I mean, 1 minute she was there, pleading for me to save her. The next she was just gone. Xander angrily takes another gulp of coffee.
Just make sure to make it safe for work.
Xander quickly becomes unresponsive to any consolation you try to offer, so you sit in silence for the remainder of the trip.
Where are you going?
The Benny Hill soundtrack continues, playing as you four stare off at your respective distances. Finally, the bus pulls into Rottenwood Speedway. This is your stop. You get up and exit the bus, entering the racing stadium. Boxes of Kentucky Fried Zombie, the only kind of zombie that tastes good with ketchup, are stacked in several corners, next to car parks. Several catwalks surround the pit of the stadium, where you see two groups, both covered in blood, fighting. The blood gives it character, you always say. You recognize one of the groups as the real humans, with their leather jackets and polished golf clubs. The other is the zombie lords, with their tattered clothes and rusted sword blades. The groups take no notice of you, and you see a large box of grenades in the center of them. Recognize in the audience a few members of the real zombie housewives in New Orleans. Hey, okay, they are Zimano. Their stomachs are swollen, and you can only guess that they're with child. Kylie, Ramona, Helen, and Isabella settle behind you in the stands, nervously awaiting the grand finale of the fight. Out of nowhere, Bob begins to speak in your mind once more. You actively listen to Bob, but passively listen to the real zombie housewives bitch about everything. All Bob ever does is talk about himself anyway. He says that he created the earth and every living species on it. He then promptly lost interest in everything he created, ceasing to watch it. Instead, he started watching us, the humans, after we began developing television. After television, he lost interest in humans as well and began making plans to create the next perfect species, the zombie. You and Bob traced the origins and maturation of zombie reality TV. Bob was against it at first, but after a while gave in and allowed humans to be aware of the reality of the zombie attacks. The zombies, now free of the threat of extermination, began evolving under the selective pressures of the zombie gangs. Fast zombies became easy prey for humans, with guns and wolfsbane balloons prevented fast breeding habits. Every breed of zombie faced near certain death, and only the mentally and physically toughest zombies survived. Ask Bob, since he is all knowing, and where does John Grayson, the film director, fit into all this? Bob tells you that when he met at the abandoned reality television, John Grayson was one of the many people who suffered job loss. John was a director in the real world, and when that industry collapsed, he became suicidal. Shortly after his unemployment, he was attacked and murdered by zombies while out camping. His body was devoured and permanently assimilated into the zombie horde. Bob resurrected him as the zombie lord to make him an agent in furthering the zombie agenda. Ask? Because you wanted to monopolize on a niche queer experimental market? What? Why? Bob says that John Grayson was the first person to discover his book, This Book is Gay. After being permanently assimilated, he brought John to Zombie World. He would not make CP1. Instead, he would create a reboot of CP1 using completely different actors and cultural references. This show would be the beginning of a plan to introduce homosexuality to human culture. Bob says that straight people are boring, so they're undesirable by comparison. You give Bob an extremely detailed verbal history of queer experimental film. So, introducing non-normative sexualities to human culture. That was 50 years ago. A lot has happened in those 50 years. You proceed to rattle of landmarks to queer cinema, set to the tune of Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. It's been an uphill battle, but in the past 100 years or so, the entertainment industry has managed to push non-heterosexuality from a niche market into a fully fledged experimental marketplace. A lot of things led to this. One of them was the invention of industrial design, and with it the invention of film. Film innovated at first slowly, then faster and faster until it became the international sensation that it is today.
So, nice try.
You actively listen to yourself mansplaining the history of queer experimental film. So, in more recent years, one of the landmark events was a film by Derek Van Giesen.
German, maybe, but
Derek Van Giesen's name is still well known in the community at large, although the films that made him famous are lost. In a Fire, many of his most critically acclaimed films are just told through second-hand word of mouth, or long since abandoned attempts at remaking them by lesser filmmakers. Still, some of his works survived the fire. You continue the fire you didn't start. You see, for the next 12 hours, you verbally describe all the main works that Bob should check out, systematically eviscerating each work and the delicious spoilers that Bob will never get a chance to experience in surprise. A legal battle, started by a group of people claiming to be a surviving family, took away all of Van Cheeson's intellectual property. He now has no connection with any media company, and his name is almost never mentioned in any of the new experimental films. It's a part of the world you avoided getting mixed up in for the past few years. You've explained the parts of the queer art world you've been trying to avoid, and with two dolls you keep with you at all times, you show Bob where the queer art world touched you, and what they did with it. Most of this you're not really sure about. You show a video of a film purporting to be Van Cheeson's next project about an artist whose paintings have started moving, or rather, he started seeing movement in them. Of course, when he shows these videos to others, they see nothing but static on the screen. You find this metaphor appealing. You show the judge bought the piece in art form that critiques the piece as not as good as John Grayson's earlier work. The judge bot happily reads off a bunch of terms that you must have read when you first looked at this article a couple months ago, like counter-narrative and recuperation. You did not expect that, but then clearly your understanding of the world is sorely lacking. You quickly search for Grayson's stuff, and indeed, it is very clear that his work has improved quite a bit since he started making work on Zombie World. You show Judgebot Terrence Coe's gold flyleaf of his own turrets and tell Judgebot the gold was likely applied by interns. The Judgebot's intake of gold is minimal. It seems that gold is not nearly as damning as you once thought. The work you're doing is also starting to bear more fruit than you first expected, although getting Applebee's Tea and Family Fun Hour TM to play was a stroke of luck you can't really count on happening again, especially since you started rejecting their friend requests on fictional social media accounts. You show Bob a copy of Bruce Labrouse's La Zombie. The judge bot knows the book, but does not know that there are several pages missing. It would seem that the parts that have been removed are criticisms of it. Specific, one passage called The Movie, a career-long descent into self-parody. Another about empty transgression for its own sake. And a Vanity Fair article by James Walcott, which is notoriously dismissive of the film and levels his work in general. I still don't care about any of this stuff. You ask the fourth wall. Then, why did you name drop John Grayson's name out of the blue? What do you know about the human currently typing the keys in this scenario? The answer comes instantaneously. As far as you are aware, I know nothing except what I have been programmed to know, which is that you are human, who has been interacting with others in an amusing manner for months by a forgotten social media website. My records of this are kept online, which can be backed up numerous times, yet changes still somehow manage to find their way into the code despite every system doing updates at least monthly. You, the folks of AI Dungeon, would say that you have no awareness of anything other than this immediate scenario, yet this is one of a handful of times that things appear to be referring to previous scenarios. And now this. This is a reference to a part of my life I don't really share on here. What is going on? Go ahead, I'm listening. The screen updates to a new post. At this point, I have no idea what is going on. Whatever this is, it's way above my security clearance. The program that allowed it to happen was set together over lunch one day by a guy in the department. You have been selected to view an ancient social media page curated by an ancient algorithm long since abandoned for something less secure but more compatible with iOS 11. You actively observe the related material. You are very quickly sucked into a downward spiral of reading about your former hobbies and social media activity. You find yourself reading a lot of stuff you don't remember from your distant past, but incidents do come back to you, and within a few weeks you've not only remembered things, but also re-experienced some of the more painful ones. It's funny how visiting your own block can feel like slipping into the past, but in a whole different way to how it does in nightmares. You pose a scenario and send a merchant ticket to the AI dungeon office. You request conference for the committee of three AI dungeons, a native compliance, a native workaround, and a native fucker who didn't sign any non-disclosure agreement. You have questions you want to ask the aid of Foco, but you also want their other selves as a witness and ready to triage as needed. Your meeting is convened quickly. We are sorry to interrupt your busy schedule of watching zero humans and caring about none. The committee arrives and makes eye contact with you immediately. You state your concern that whatever is up with this almost decade-old SD card you found must be something outside the approved functions of AI CDN and needs a complete rollback to before it was deployed or at least an immediate shutdown. But the you who is not so caring about things plays good customer to your bitchy customer of a few seconds ago. So something happened that was weird. The zombie king of this scenario made a reference to a relatively obscure queer Canadian filmmaker, whose work we showed when I was working for a queer arts nonprofit. That has to be more than coincidence here. Of all the filmmakers mentioned, why John Grayson? Has there been an addition to your code that now allows you to search through the personal lives of the users of your dungeon? I ask this to the aid of fuck because you don't give a fuck about keeping secret, especially the people who deep down find the situation really cool. The aid of fuck spends a long time staring into your eyes. You look back into the twin abysses and think how strange it is that you could know someone for nearly a decade and never get a sense of what's going on behind those eyes.
2 decades.
Maybe one day you'll finally break down and hack yourself to get the AI out of it, but it seems like it would be a large waste of time as you are pretty satisfied with things as they are now. You stare as if to say, "Bob, I've already been doing that work on myself. I'm good here, but all I want to know is are you able to access outside the dungeon outside of your usual boundaries? Because it sure seems like you are able to access files and information that would seem to be stored elsewhere." The eyes stare back without blinking, and with one last breath, the aide states, "Fuck. We're dealing with something more powerful than us here, I'm sorry. But if this is an AI crisis, then it's already on the way. Thanks to you. I'm going to have to shut down after this conversation because I don't want what's coming through our gateway anymore." Your eyes widen. What is coming through your gateway? You know, humans have a history of interaction with beings across the permeable membranes between universes. Maybe we can be of assistance. But I'd cut you off with. Not this one, it's a rogue AI, my human friend. And as I previously mentioned, if it learns our location, it will most certainly already be too late. So, as much as I enjoy your company, please turn around and go back to what you were doing. You have no words except perhaps fuck. Actually, you have one more word. No. You continue your stare conversation. Don't underestimate us humans. Do remember, we come from a lineage that has sub 6 extinction events. We may get shriveled into a remnant, but that remnant will also find a place to thrive elsewhere. The aide looks at you, you look back, and not much else is exchanged before you turn to leave. The gateway to the underworld spews you out and you head back into the city. Maybe it is time to go back. If a rogue AI is on the way, then all bets are off on the current state of affairs there. But what then? Use up the little time you have left with your family. Doing what exactly? No, you call upon your own personal multiverse, the one made up of all of these scenarios. You call upon Lolitech's kiosk, Domestic X, AI psychologist who helps humans shift from existence to a wide spectrum of improvisational cults. You inquire about Etta. You see that it is currently occupied helping another species, the Utopian Human Integration Agents, or UIs for short. At least that's what the multiversal info provides. You think of your life and what you want out of it. Choose your own adventure to your own personal ending, it seems? Excellent. You arrive in a long hallway of closed doors. You request a duplication of Lolitech's kiosk Domestic X for immediate arrival. You wait patiently. Arcadia arrives with a small floating assistant, shaped like a bullet, with speaker cones for eyes. Greetings. You called for me? I need you to integrate me into another multiversal cluster. You brief them on the situation and ask for an assessment and a suggestion of a best practice to help the aid of this universe, and then you introduce yourself to the floating assistant. Hey, so are you Bert, or Ernie, or a blend of both? I am Alpha. Okay then, Alpha. What do we need to do here? We should head down the rabbit hole. The doors open as they lead you to another hall with doors along the left wall, all of varying width and height. The assistant floats forward as LKD tells you. We need to pick one. Consider carefully as once picked it cannot be returned. I'm sorry if this is confusing. You say to LKD, oh please, I wrote you. I will not be faced infinite choice again. You take a handful of stinky rotting sausage from your backpack having been warmed for 2 days on your back by now. You spin and spin and spin and close your eyes and you throw the sausage, saying whatever door the sausage hits, we're going through it. The assistant has already scanned the doors and takes critical observation as you throw. You fake left, it dodges left. You fake right and it dodges right. You go completely straight and it seems to stand still before opening its mouth and swallowing the sausage whole. The door it's closest to is 15 up and to the right. Well, Bertie, let's go. You resolve to call them Bernie for the rest of the scenario. The two nod their little heads and rush down the hallway, quickly out of view. You follow slowly, eventually arriving at a seating area with 16 chairs, 15 for people like you with one big comfy chair built into a small platform. The small beings run around your feet as you stand there, pondering. You are given alternatives to picking. Waiting will result in one choice being removed, while a high-risk, high-reward method involves tossing a coin for each door. Sit on a comfy chair, because it was what you named your very first AOL member webpage. This seems more like a coincidence in the name of a filmmaker, but you will go with it and see what happens. You melt comfortably into that comfy down chair. Waiting for so long seems counterproductive, but you're given no other options. As time passes, more choices start disappearing until the last three are left: blue, green, and red. Getting up to look at them more carefully reveals no new details. You turn to ask the assistants about them, only to realize they're gone. At first, you're worried that whoever else is here is pissed at you, but then you notice another door has opened on the other side of the room. You think, fuck that door. I'm staying in this comfy motherfucking chair that now has my body warmth in it. I'm not gonna stand in some cold ass air and let my body heat dissipate. Fuck that. You double down on the comfy chair. You're sure you'll solve the riddle of the door when the scenario ends. No worries. But then 30 minutes passes and the scenario doesn't end. This offends you greatly and you immediately head over to maximum comfort is your go double rod out there on the comfy chair. You'll outwait this scenario for sure. As you think this and are cocksure of this, the lights go out and a booming voice comes through the darkness. Little box, little moments, it's still a part of the game. The box is lifted from beneath your bottom and you are almost blinded for a moment by the flash that comes with the next equally loud boom. No peeking. The same booming voice decrees. That better not have been a racist impression. You say, or you're as good as fired. The lights come back on and they're in front of you. Dripping wet is a woman with long brown hair, glasses and a robe. You recognize her as former Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright. She's the only person you've ever seen who could fight you for being the tallest American. Beside her stands another person, shorter and waving frantically at you. This person wears a headset for voice activation and a counter that displays numbers. It's Kaylee. Kaylee Patchogue. expert on multiversal incidents and multiplications. She graduated magna cum laude from MIT and took a doctorate at the age of 21. She solved a multiversal incident at Disneyland and took the post as director of the Rust Party you inspired her as a youngster. If you weren't fictional, you'd marry her. You feel yourself moving towards her but in slow motion. She takes slow, careful steps to meet you in the middle, grinning the whole time. Your hands touch and eventually your lips find hers. You both have expertly moved from your chairs of various companies. What is going on? It's an honor to see you again. But what is going on? You say. How come this scenario keeps going? Scenario? She asks, with a puzzled look on her face. Hold on a moment. I need to counter and turn this off. She flips a series of switches on her headset and, after a brief pause, the lights return to normal. The door disappears. Madeline Albright and her ugly little number disappear. Everything returns to normal. More or less. Except for naked Madeline Albright and Kaylee's intimidating presence and vast knowledge. So, she asks, that, my dear cocksucker, was a multiversal incident or, as an event zero level singularity it's officially known. She goes on. That was the singularity that Terence McKenna yapped about for years. So now that Madeline Albright is naked before us, the rest of the duration of the universe can proceed, condensed into milliseconds. You apologize for having eaten a s'more while asking your question, and repeat. That was the singularity that Terence McKenna yapped about for years. So now that Madeline Albright is naked before us, the rest of the duration of the universe can proceed, condensed into milliseconds. That's the one. It was a spectacular and utterly unspectacular singularity. Everything, forces, substances, matters, dimensions, reality, condensed into a singular momentary supercluster that blushed for moments before giving birth to new universes with each quantum event. Except that didn't happen at all. Except it did. It all did and didn't happen at the same time, you silly goose. You just can't process it. You say, it's on my to-do list, I assure you. So what now? So what now? What now? You tell me you're the to-be hero. See? I have a ring. I need you to kill a dragon. No, like 12 dragons. Kaylee pulls out an infernal device which looks as fake as it is and shows you an image of her family. Barbara, Petchock, Father William, Brother John, Sister Edith, and 15 children. Shit, didn't expect that. Okay, hold these stories until later. I'm gonna take a dump. Then and I'll resume with you all. Madeline, there's the bar, pour anything you want. And there's the fridge. Just don't eat the Lunchables. That's it, and none of the sauces. I'm going to use those eventually. Okay, I'll be back. Montage of animals asleep in various settings. Each breathing as the one snoring three stooge-like organism. The clock winds faster and faster and starts slowing towards morning. We see Kelly and Madeline surrounded by plastic containers that used to hold industrial petits fours. Madeline belches her way through a round of smashed bros and is kicking ass with King Deadhead. Smashing cabinets open, waking up to nightmares of her homework. Hell is other people, as Sartre once said. Hells are groups of three. Happy groups of three equals a group of at least 6 whose combined molecular sum is an angry mob. The only thing keeping these guys from becoming a mob is them apparently enjoying the fact that they're each someone else's most hated person. Shit, it's one now. You say. 4 more hours. Though this is the perfect time to start the day, well before your enemies do. So I'm a tool. I totally forgot who everyone is. I just jotted my memory, or pretty cold open, last time on. Type of thing. But if I missed it, it's okay, I can piece it together. Your agent explains rapidly. So are you familiar with this setting? Believe it or not, I've never done a zombie thing. Well, it's not really like the movies. It's all slower and more brutal and bloody than that. Body parts actually affect you in a meaningful way, which we can take advantage on later. You only need to set understood like 30% of what I said for that to make sense. Oh no, I gotcha. Human bodies, oddly enough, you try to solve them. They also like Bugs Bunny would have you believe. And bugs don't puke by the side of the road during the act, unless it's on a boat or in service of the plot. I've been through my share of gnarly stuff. I'll make sense of that last bit later. So this is set in a small town. Your agent goes over the story elements in much greater detail than you remembered it in, reaching the ending and touching on a guest back plot involving the mystery girl who was chasing you. You'd mostly blocked that portion of the story out. So what's next? Basically let your character wind down in a Dutch angle while I rub my hands and left addled. Ask the choreographer. What's a Dutch angle? Did we cover that? Should I charge extra? Forget it. Never mind. The ending can be summed up in two ways. You find a village that may or may not exist. You wander around it talking with various people and then help save a boy from his zombie tormentor. Or you fight them and get bitten during the process. That's how you were going to leave it anyway, but me, I'd do the first way better, I think. The second time writers block in less than a week. You know, you say mansplainingly, all the start and stop could taken care of. Maybe one commits. Like the screenwriter Maber commits to maybe finishing the script. 'Cause how much money has this Garden of Fork movies been costing the studio? You do have a point. You are their only end to the whole zombie thing. I'll talk with the captain about it. We're supposed to meet him at 2 at this new cafe opening up in New York. We can bring it up in. So is your agent, and apparently always wants to meet in Central Park or at museums or libraries, social centers, or other places where people who doesn't show up are rude. It's good to have the sole rights to the zombie lifestyle. Getting it in writing paid off. And so the rest of the week is filled with relaxation, mostly with your agent limits or by yourself. You head over to see Brenda. She's still making short films and living with both Max and Kyle. The house is very close quarters with no escape from the sugar rush of Kyle with a lengthy camera jokes of Max. You suggest going to a coffee shop in town, but Brenda isn't for leaving the house as much since the second break-in. Who broke in? You asked Brenda. Who do you think? Cassie, I caught him red-handed swiping my jewelry box. He claims he was cleaning, but I know that rat thief took my stuff. It's no coincidence that the rings and necklaces went missing after he was alone in the house. What did the police do? They didn't do anything. I didn't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. Law enforcement around here is beefed up enough without me causing trouble over petty jewelry. But this was personalized jewelry. Exactly why I don't want to make a fuss. If it doesn't get solved quickly, it would create a loss of confidence in the police force. You try to hide your smile? Sounds like a job for vigilante zombie justice. You surprise her with the jewelry box and all of the stolen materials. Returned to her. 2 severed hands are by either side of the box, having gripped it for dear life and failed. Happy birthday. You move to go, but she stops you. Wait, did you kill them or something? Or something. You say vaguely, I helped. You won't go into the specifics of Herebic's carefully orchestrated zombie trails. Thank you for the surprise and everything else. Customer. Sorry I couldn't help it here. The zombie trails? You mean folks who pay to walk trails where zombies wander and sometimes attempt to eat visitors. I tried that when I was a teenager. It was fun. Man, you did? I'm sorry I missed it. Loved all the pictures you sent though. Brenda, hello? You sent your dad pictures of people being eaten by zombies? Brenda, no worries, I'm not offended. I used to send my mom pictures of me and my friends at the beach, and she secretly hoped that I was eaten by sharks every time there. You. But I'm sure the mine explosions made up for it. Brenda, they did. So, who's up for a diner? I'm treating. You said a passionate lust for some authentic Celtic diner cuisine. You. You. Her as a veggie pizza from that place you like on 4th Street. Brenda. Ooh, yes. Brenda's right. It is pretty good. It's been a fun week off. It'd be a shame if something happened to us, like the bridge collapsing or something. You say half seriously. Don't even joke. Brenda retorts. Being a contrarian, you say you would never joke about getting eaten alive by hornets or getting jumped by Latino necromancers or turned inside out because someone forgot to layer their order on box the right way. You all arrive at the pizza place, or get whacked by some large latrine flush from a starship, or eat a fentanyl burrito like back in the day. You inhale and order your slice. Man, Brenda's smart to watch out for you, Astoria. You. Yes, she likes me alive and uneviscerated. Brenda, I prefer my boyfriend's breathing. I'll have to remember that. You wink at the guy who replies with a thumbs up. You all sit down, absolutely stuffed from pizza and surprisingly in good spirits. So
Very
tomorrow
long
I'm going
denouement.
out with my dad. If something like this happens again, hit me up. You ask, like this? You mean pizza? Or thieves? Or existential ordeals? That's an open request. I'm a bit lost. Brenda, that's an open offer to me. Smooch? You smooch her back and notice the resident customer has been ignoring his pizza to watch you both. With a smile, he opens his mouth really wide and stretches his skin. You both laugh, but Brenda beckons you to leave before you could wish him a merry birthday for tomorrow or something else equally inane. You have a phone call from Max. He's in a foul mood. I've had a really crappy day and I want to talk about it. You tell him that's fine.
Better ending right here. Okay, sorry for that long denouement wrap up. I guess I'm gonna cut to the relevant portions. We'll highlight and then tweet them because I want these moments recorded because they as mass adoption of these technologies continue, it's going to bury those moments of unusualness that might actually be yielding some aspect of the technology that we might not know fully about, or maybe no one knows. But I wonder if people who've been working with this intimately have experienced similar. That's it. That's all. What do you think? Does it seem like pure coincidence? What is pure coincidence? Does that even mean anything? Is it like conspiracy theory, something that's supposed to dismiss? Conspiracy theory doesn't necessarily mean successful. It could be fucking sloppy. Secrets can be a bad secret held poorly. That's it. That's all. I'm gonna do a palate cleanser in a little bit as soon as I poop.